Alright, this is another attempt at me doing comic reviews. It's been about a month and a half since the last review I did for my pull list. Have 4 books this week which I want to review, and without further ado, I'm going to get into it and see if I can't try and stay on top of this thing if possible. 2 from Marvel, 1 from DC, 1 from Dark Horse, so without any further ado, let's get started. I'll begin with The Big Fish, Fear Itself, number 2, by Matt Fraction and Stuart Eminem. Not bad, actually. Certainly picked up in pace a little bit better than the last issue did, which, besides the big knockdown, drag-out fight in between Thor and Odin, had to deal with a little bit of allegorical stuff, which was alright, but probably not the best first impression of an issue. And that's kind of the trick with most first issues. Sometimes is you can't really let them dictate how you're going to feel about a story arc. You got to go and just give it about 2 or 3 issues before you can really figure out how the story is going to be to you, or at least that's the way it works for me. We finally get a little more deal behind the hammers, and if you can see from the cover, we have 3 of these worthy who have now become known. We also have a surprise pick in the issue for a 4th, and kind of a hint at who's going to be the 5th. Obviously, you can see from the cover that we have Juggernaut and the Hulk as hammer bearers now, and we also have this guy in the gray or dark blue or whatever you call it right here. I think that's Atuma, if I read it right. But yeah, these guys are all possessed by these magical hammers now. And what's more to that too is that we get a little more story what happens to Thor once Odin has spirited everyone away to Asgard. Basically, Thor is the only one with a spine enough to stand up to his father and say that what he thinks about his dad tucking his tail between his legs and running is wrong. And his father puts him imprisons him in a cage and says, "Only I can let him out." And so basically, besides seeing who all gets the hammers and how they get them, basically Odin just continues to make Thor his bitch, and you kind of sympathize with Thor pretty much because nobody else is willing to stand alongside him and help him in his little plight. The story really gets moving, and we're focusing a little more on the superheroes. I haven't really been keeping up with the Hulk, or She-Hulk for that matter, or Betty Ross's Red She-Hulk, actually. So there's kind of a nice little tidbit that kind of gives you what they've been up to, since I didn't know about it. So apparently they've somehow reconciled their differences or something. But not bad for a 2nd issue. Hopefully things will pick up a little bit more in the 3rd. Moving on to Uncanny X-Force number 9. I continue to enjoy Rick Remender's work on this series. The first 8 issues were good stuff. About maybe the only thing I complain on would be the .1 issue, and it's not really so much that it was the .1 issue, but story was a little lackluster to me. I kind of almost got struck by having the same feeling with this issue that I did with the .1. The big thing in this is that Magneto is supposed to be pitched as turning into a bit of a good guy now, but he sends for X-Force and asks them to put out a hit on a guy from his past. Obviously was must have been one of the Nazi officers that had him in the concentration camp back in the day. And Wolverine decides to take it upon himself to go and, take this guy out. The issue isn't bad, but there's a lot of, it's mostly a silent issue towards the latter half of it. I pitched through this thing in like 5 minutes, and I enjoyed the other books so much, and I was kind of disappointed that, it went as quick as it did. It was a quick read for me, and plus, there's kind of a few gaps that I really don't, or a lot of questions I had that I didn't really feel got answered with it. I guess the intention could be to use it, or let the readers use their imagination as to what all the implications are in this, but basically, when it comes down to it, this book was just little more than filler material because next issue is supposed to be kicking off the Year of the X-Men event. So, not bad. It's all right. This could be like last issue where they were dealing with the Shadow King. You know, it's a good jumping on point at any point here. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Dropping away from Marvel and riding on into the Dark Horse, we have B.P.R.D, the Dead Remembered miniseries. This is issue 2 of the 3-part miniseries. The basic backstory behind this is that we have 3 stories simultaneously going on here. 2 in the present and 1 in a flashback sequence. Now, the one in the present deals largely with Liz Sherman. I guess technically you could say we have 4 stories going on here. We get a flashback to her detailing about her first, or the times that she started breaking out with the pyromania tendencies that she couldn't control, how it claimed her family. We also have one going on with a flashback to a mob attacking a woman during the sort of like the Salem witch trials, but we don't really know this woman's fate, which will be dealt with next issue. But it seems to be her ghost is sort of suspect in the haunting, which is the 3rd part of the story, which is a haunted house. She's come along with Professor Broom as he's investigating it, and this is sort of her getting her first mission along with Professor Broom, sort of breaking her into the field, even though it wasn't the intention of bringing her there. And well, it's all right for a middle issue. I'd recommend B.P.R.D to anybody. If you wanted a jumping on point, I'd actually say wait till July. The Dead Remembered so far is not a bad story, but I think it would be a bad place to start if you were, because you're only getting to know Liz Sherman and not really the rest of the group. But if you do read it on a regular basis, this is a good issue. I do recommend it. And out from Dark Horse, moving on to DC for my final and my pick of the week. I think I'll go along with Adam Beecham's Batman Beyond number 5. This is part 1 of the Industrial Revolution story arc. We kind of got a return back to the old school story style, which is we're starting to pull more stuff from the DC animated universe. I don't really have a problem with Adam Beecham, you know, kind of connecting this to current continuity with the other Batman stories, you know, kind of like how he did with saying, yeah, Dick Grayson was with Batman Inc., and they kind of addressed this in the future. But part of a caution with me is that I don't want this title to be too bogged down in stuff from the DC animated universe and from the current continuity, because it would be a little too busy for my taste. But the issue does return to the old school story. We have, as always, Terry is having problems with his girlfriend, and there's sort of a thing. It's kind of predictable, but it's still not unexpected that happens between Terry and Dana. We have the return of one of Terry's very first enemies from the TV show. The reveal at the end is kind of predictable, but I think that you could pretty much read the issue and figure out where it's going. But the reveal at the end is not, it is certainly not, it's certainly fun still, even though it's predictable. But plus we also get to see Bruce Wayne as himself. He's still out of the Powers Corporation, but he's stepping back in to take control, and we have sort of this huge strike that's taking place out there. And he's trying to step in and fix this before the guy that's taking over right now just goes and truly fucks shit up. It's a good issue all around, but yeah, I definitely think this is my pick of the week. There's a lot more that happens in there, but I'll just let that be up to you to read it. So that's my stack for the week. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I get to do this again next week or two.